longer than 5 minutes or something. But maybe this means my internet is shutting off now because I haven't paid it, and people act like they just need to give up with me. No, it's been days with everybody else. My internet's gonna be gone. Don't have a chance to spend time with me. Oh shoot, I just used all my sticks. Of course, of course, of course, of course, of course, of course. No one can talk to a horse, of course that is, of course, and this, the horse is a famous mystery. Watch me get some copyright strike for trying to sing that. That would be ridiculous.
I love when it's wet.
Day again. I am dirty again. Buy anything.
How do you do? Best goods in the realm. Have a good day.
Where is that Eric? Whatever his name is. Elric? Where does he live? Never see his name after.
How do you do? Can I interest you in some of my work? Have a nice day.
He didn't trust bridges, so he always preferred to swim here across the river.
$64 coins. Oh, why am I getting constantly dirty? happened to my axe? Ain't no axe on me either. Accidentally drop it somewhere. That broke right when I started to cut this tree. One lonely tree. workshop too. Jeez. Does that mean I can build it because it goes on top of? That's so nice too. Yep. Mm. Planks, finally. Uh, Boy. Where's this guy?
Hail, friend. Only the best products here. Bye. How are you? Only the best products here.
Mm, mm.
I learned this trick at a restaurant. This is the most flavorful chicken I've ever eaten. To start, I'm going to place one yolk over a chicken breast cut in half, and we'll spread it well over the entire surface. Next, I'll add one slice of mozzarella and one slice of cheddar on top. Now I'll fold the chicken inward, sealing everything the following way. Right after that, I'll place the chicken in a dish with wheat flour and coat it until fully covered. And before I forget, tell me which city you're watching from, so I can send you a special shout out. Today's shout out goes to Nancy Parker from Orlando, Florida. I'm really happy that you're enjoying our recipes. Now, we'll dip it in beaten eggs seasoned with salt to taste and black pepper to taste. This is the secret that transforms the recipe. Next, I'll coat it with breadcrumbs. Have you ever tried making a recipe like this at home? Tell me. I'd love to know. Right after that, we'll transfer the chicken to a pan with preheated oil. And I'll start frying. After a few minutes, we'll flip it to brown on the other side as well. Look how amazing it's already turning out. At this point, we'll remove the fried chicken from the pan, place it on a plate, and set it aside. In another pan, I'll add 1 tablespoon of butter, and we'll stir until it melts. Every time I get to this part, I remember that cooking isn't just technique, but also the emotion of turning simple ingredients into something special. Next, we'll add 1 cup of wheat flour, and I'll keep mixing to fully combine everything. This part always surprises me because it shows how something simple can turn into something extraordinary. Right after that, I'll gradually add 2 cups of milk, and we'll mix again until we get a smooth consistency. Every time I make this recipe, I realize how much the final look depends on this step, because this is where we get the texture right and define the finish. Next, I'll add 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and we'll mix well. Now, we'll add half a cup of grated Parmesan and 150 grams of mozzarella grated. I'll mix again until the cheeses melt and blend into the mixture. This step may seem basic, but it guarantees the perfect result. At this point, we'll remove the pan from the heat. Right after that, I'll pour this creamy sauce we made over the delicious chicken we fried earlier. I like this kind of recipe because it delivers exactly what it promises. It doesn't require complicated steps or hard-to-find ingredients, and even so, it stands out for the result. The look and the flavor are incredible. I've made it many times and everyone loves it. Make it at home too, and then tell me what you thought. I learned this trick at a restaurant. This is the most flavorful chicken I've ever eaten. To start, I'm going to place 1 yolk over a chicken breast cut in half, and we'll spread it well over the entire surface. Next, I'll add 1 slice of mozzarella and 1 slice of cheddar on top. Now I'll fold the chicken inward, sealing everything the following way. Right after that, I'll place the chicken in a dish with wheat flour and coat it until fully covered. And before I forget, tell me which city you're watching from, so I can send you a special shout out. Today's shout out goes to Nancy Parker from Orlando, Florida. I'm really happy that you're enjoying our recipes. Now, we'll dip it in beaten eggs seasoned with salt to taste and black pepper to taste. This is the secret that transforms the recipe. Next, I'll coat it with breadcrumbs. Have you ever tried making a recipe like this at home? Tell me. I'd love to know. Right after that, we'll transfer the chicken to a pan with preheated oil. And I'll start frying. After a few minutes, we'll flip it to brown on the other side as well. look how amazing it's already turning out. At this point, we'll remove the fried chicken from the pan, place it on a plate, and set it aside. In another pan, I'll add 1 tablespoon of butter, and we'll stir until it melts. Every time I get to this part, I remember that cooking isn't just technique, but also the emotion of turning simple ingredients into something special. Next, we'll add 1 cup of wheat flour, and I'll keep mixing to fully combine everything. This part always surprises me because it shows how something simple can turn into something extraordinary. Right after that, I'll gradually add 2 cups of milk, and we'll mix again until we get a smooth consistency. Every time I make this recipe, I realize how much the final look depends on this step, because this is where we get the texture right and define the finish. Next, I'll add 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and we'll mix well.
Hello there. See you soon.
What now? Oh, grub up, fertilized. I already know I've done all
Best for the kid.
this freaking time. Huh? Feel this. Okay, it's actually out of the way.
The more you work, the hungrier you get. I'm hungry.
Oh,
It seems I forgot about food. Again.
you're still alive. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Construct a food store. Well, as long as you upped my number of buildings, you better have. Have you upped my number of buildings so I can make a food storage? Okay. 10 to 20. Okay. Next will be do this, get a limit of 30. Good grief. Oh, that's it. Construct the food storage, and I'm done. Okay, that's good.
It seems I forgot about food. Again.
Well, let's hurry this up. Wow.
I feel famished. I can feel my stomach rumbling. I feel famished. I did something. I feel famished. I can hear my stomach rumbling.
More sticks up here. Oh.
house.
Let's do that then. Wait, I've never had any horse meat or, well, deer meat or, I don't know if I had cow and pork and the normals. Bison I probably have, it's kind of a thing around South Dakota Black Hills, low meat. Mm. How many do I got? Come on, you stupid crap. You are dirty. Oh, I have at least 15 buildings. Coming right up. Mm. But the, hey, there's plenty of stones right here. And now I'm out of logs, of course. Ah, so moving on now. Buildings, and then get a limit of 40. A resident settlement too. Well, yeah, that's probably all I could deal with, right? I had to put all my manufacturing buildings in. I couldn't have more than one extra house. That's a big factory. Oh. Straw is also out. Righty. Four lobes. Four lobes. It's up here. 5 lobes. 8 lobes. 8. Whee! This spider tree wants to hit me no matter what way it falls. Or not. Oh, I don't lose my stump. Oh my gosh. And I'm out of straw. Hurry the. eating already. Oh,
I would have a couple of suggestions for improving life in our settlement.
wonderful. Oh, right in the middle of doing something. Didn't tell me they got married. Huh? There she is.
Hey,
Come
old
on.
friend.
It's the same one. Oh, there we go. No.
Myself, but it's just too hard. Furniture making is almost as impossible as swimming.
See you soon.
Think about the fact that I carry a torch around in the day. That's what she needs to think about. And don't wear clothes. Come on. Why is it? Okay, I need the barn first. Oops, where is that? have the money for it right now. Oh, man.
but he was kind of spoiled. His family was pretty rich, and I remember he always got a fancy party every year for his birthday, and the best toys for Christmas. Time in 4th grade, he caught Amber Nelson in the playground. Amber had a pretty bad overbite, and Kurt stood there with his face in hers, calling her rabbit face over and over again until she broke down crying. Most of the kids thought he was a serious asshole for that, because Amber was a sweet girl and really shy about her teeth. But nothing actually happened. There was nothing like the kind of blow-up Vlad's grandmother caused. Eventually, Amber got over it, like kids do. But I remember my mom one time muttering that Kurt had issues. The way she said it, you know she meant something serious. Not just that he liked teasing other kids. So, the years rolled on, and we all got older. Our personalities became more set and developed. Vlad carried himself better, and he took an interest in computers. You could tell he had really impressed the teachers. He won a special award one year that came with a small honorarium. Most of the other kids were more or less happy for him. I mean, there wasn't any skin off their teeth, right? But I remember the day the award was announced in the school auditorium. Kurt had this look on his face like the school was plundering his college fund to give Vlad the award. Kurt, well, he didn't exactly turn into a sweetheart. He kind of dialed back his nasty personality, but I have the feeling that was mostly to cover his ass. It was generally known he didn't want to mess with him. He never bothered me, because we were friends, and I knew how to shrug him off. But there were incidents. One kid, Tom Shelton, who was real skinny and a bit of a comedian, stopped riding the school bus after an encounter with Kurt. He chose to walk instead, which was crazy because he lived kind of far out from the school. His mom didn't drive and his dad worked on the other side of town, so they couldn't drive him. I asked him once why he didn't just suck it up and ride the bus again, mostly to see what he'd say. He just shook his head, and I noticed he wasn't much of a comedian after that. In particular, Kurt developed kind of a creepy side, especially when it came to girls. A lot of them had crushes on him, but that tended to go away after the first date. One girl, Valerie Prentice, just disappeared one year. I mean, one day she was sitting in algebra with the rest of us, and the next day she was just gone. A few kids asked the teacher what happened to her, and they just changed the subject. There were rumors that Kurt had gotten her pregnant, and that her parents had sent her off to live with an aunt out of state. Other rumors were even uglier. Somebody said Kurt had tried to get her to sleep with him, and when she said no, he threw acid in her face. Obviously, I don't think that actually happened, but I could see how the rumors started, which in its own way was just as troubling. Kurt still carried a grudge against Vlad from all those years ago, but he largely avoided him. Part of that was because, even though you got the feeling he'd sooner cut off his own hand than raise it against someone else, Vlad had gotten even bigger. Just seeing him stride across the field behind the school was like catching a glimpse of Bigfoot or something. Nobody was going to screw around with someone who looked like that. Not even Kurt. But there was something about the way Kurt watched him, like he was just waiting for his chance to get him somehow. One day, I'm not even sure why I remember this. It's such a small thing. Anyway, one day in high school, Vlad started bringing a book to school. It was an old hardback, and he was always reading it in study hall. I remember hearing a kid, I don't remember who, asking about it. Vlad kind of got red in the face and said it was just something his grandmother had given him for his birthday. The kid pestered him until he opened it up and showed him a few pages, just literally opening the book and then shutting it, almost immediately. I was standing not far away, so I managed to get a peek. The pages were weird. The text was in some kind of heavy jacket font, and there were, I don't know, diagrams or something as illustrations. What I'm saying is it didn't look like a book of folk stories or anything like that. Anyway, whatever it was, Vlad really loved it. He brought it in and sat reading it every chance he got. But he never talked about it, and if you asked him, he just kind of shrugged. It probably won't surprise you to hear that Kurt noticed all of this. He didn't say anything to anyone, but I could see him watching Vlad as he read, a kind of calculating look on his face. One afternoon, Vlad came back from gym class, and when he looked in the locker where he kept his things, the book was gone. Vlad was normally slow to anger or speak, even, so his reaction really surprised me. He went absolutely apeshit, ripping everything out of his locker and questioning everyone who came near him about what happened to his book. Of course, they said they hadn't seen it, and Vlad actually screamed at them, calling them names and accusing them of lying to him. This was so unlike the old Vlad that people got a little freaked out. But worse was to come. That day, things kind of blew over, even though Vlad was acting like he just lost his most valuable possession. But when he came in the next day and looked in his locker, he found a pile of ashes and a few torn, charred bits of paper that were obviously pages torn from the book.
How do you do?
Things might have blown over again. Probably not. But there was a chance, at least. The problem was that Kurt was standing right there, with this nasty grin on his face. It was a sneering, I got you kind of grin. And nobody who saw it could doubt that he was the one who'd taken Vlad's book and burned it up. Well, Vlad lost it right there. He bellowed at Kurt and actually picked him up by the shirt front and slammed him against the wall of lockers so hard that his teeth rattled. He hit him too. I don't think he knew how to throw a proper punch, but he hit Kurt upside the head so hard it damn near knocked him out. Mr. Davis, the gym teacher, came running out and just barely managed to get Vlad off of Kurt. But it still wasn't over. Mr. Davis was a really big guy himself, and even he had a hard time handling Vlad. Vlad just kept yelling mindlessly, "He took my book! He took my book!" When Mr. Davis tried again to calm him down, Vlad slammed his fist into his gut. I mean, hard. Now, that was just beyond anything any of us had ever seen. Physically taking on a teacher was just not something he did. At least, not in our school. I mean, even Kurt's eyes bugged out at the sight of Mr. Davis crouched on the floor gagging and vomiting. And Vlad looked like he would have been more than happy to give Mr. Davis another punch. So all in all, it wasn't a good scene. Girls cried and a couple of the boys literally ran away. It wasn't long before someone called the cops, and Vlad got hauled off. Our teachers tried to get things back to normal that day, but there wasn't much hope for that. All anybody could talk about was how Vlad had hit Mr. Davis over his precious book. And you know how these things go. Pretty soon the story was that Vlad had broken the teacher's arm and threatened to kill Kurt. Some kids tried to tell the teachers that somebody really had stolen Vlad's book and then burned it, and that the somebody was almost certainly Kurt. But nobody even talked to Kurt about it. He pretty much got a free pass. Vlad was out of school for a good 2 weeks. Once again, there were all kinds of crazy rumors flying around, some to the effect that he'd won himself a trip to prison. When he finally came back, he looked several years older, exhausted and deeply depressed, as if he were carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He didn't crack jokes anymore or speak up in class as often. Kurt kept his distance, but Vlad didn't seem to notice one way or another. I really wish that was it. I wish that were the end of this story. But he got stranger. Kurt told me that Vlad had started stalking him. Not like sneaking behind bushes or anything, just walking up and down his street, glancing casually at his house. And he'd do this like 5 or 6 times a night. Every night, like clockwork. Frankly, I could understand how that would make Kurt's family nervous, even though nobody doubted Kurt deserved it. Things came to a head one night when Kurt's dad came out of the house and started yelling at Vlad. I was there hanging out with Kurt, so I saw the whole thing. I guess I should talk about Kurt's dad a minute. If Kurt was a bully and a creep in the making, his dad was just an asshole. A big blowhard. He thought he was a big man at the factory, and he liked hanging around when Kurt had his buddies over, bragging about playing football in high school or some secretary at work giving him the eye, which was kind of creepy in itself. I overheard my dad tell my mom one night that nobody at the factory liked him, and that he had a reputation for yelling at the people who worked under him. I almost asked Dad why he acted all buddy-buddy with the guy if he was such a dick, but I knew someone could ask me the same question about Kurt. So anyway, Kurt's dad walked straight up to Vlad and started yelling at him, wanting to know what he was doing sneaking around his house. He asked if Vlad thought everyone was afraid of him because he was so big, and assured him that he, Kurt's dad, wasn't afraid of him at all. Vlad was, in Kurt's dad's opinion, just a big bully, probably half retarded and a sissy to boot, practically throwing a temper tantrum when someone stole his weird-ass book. Vlad just stood there and took it, not even getting that resentful look kids usually get when adults confront them. He looked to me like an old dog putting up with a puppy snapping and barking at him, waiting for the torment to finally end. I guess Vlad's silence must have really pissed Kurt's dad off, because that's when it happened. He shook his fist in Vlad's face and said,
"Now you listen to me, you freak. I don't want to see you around here anymore. I want you to leave my son alone. I don't want to see you, hear you, feel you, or know you exist. You got me?"
Vlad nodded and shuffled off. That might have been it, but that's when we noticed his grandmother standing a few feet behind him, listening. She must have known where Vlad was going every night and came out to find him. I still remember the look she shot at Kurt's dad. You know that old saying about how if looks could kill? I mean, the look blasting out of old Mrs. Bogdan's eyes was like a laser beam. I've never seen such absolute hatred on a human face before. I stepped back a few steps, unable to help myself. I was almost ashamed of doing it. But then I saw Kurt moving past me, hot-footing it back into his house. As for his dad, he looked like he was about to piss himself for real. He tried to say something. I don't know if it was intended to calm Mrs. Bogdan down or keep on showing the neighborhood what a badass he was, but whatever it was came out as a kind of squeak. Finally, he cleared his throat and silently followed his son back into their house. Mrs. Bogdan muttered something, then repeated it in her heavy accent. It wasn't until the third or fourth time that I caught what she was saying.
"Don't see him. Don't hear him. Don't feel him. Don't know he there. Ha! Don't see him. Don't hear him. No feel. Ha! Don't know he even there."
It was like she was memorizing it, repeating Kurt's dad's little speech until it was burning into her mind. Something about it was scary. I mean, it made my guts crawl. Then she looked at me and smiled. Whoever you are, I hope you never see anyone smile like that. I knew somehow that she would still be smiling like that even if I dropped dead right there of a heart attack. This was Vlad's grandma, the old lady who made kids in the neighborhood cookies, including me. But I was tied to the guy who'd hurt her grandson, and that meant nothing was too horrible for me, or Kurt, to suffer. It got to me eventually. I'm not proud to say it, but I pretty much turned tail and ran, not stopping till I reached my house, where Mom had dinner waiting. I breathed a sigh of relief as I sat down to eat. I told myself that maybe the next day I'd take steps toward easing Kurt's friendship out of my life. See, up to now, I hadn't really been involved in the feud between Kurt and Vlad, but now it had become a little too close for comfort. I didn't care to be involved anymore. It didn't occur to me that maybe I'd waited too long, that maybe the choice was now out of my hands. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my mother's voice calling my name. She sounded agitated, and I figured I'd overslept or something, but I realized it was Saturday. I dressed and went downstairs. I found Mom in our basement rec room, a worried look on her face. Finally, she stood with her hands on hips, looking around as though she might find me hiding behind a piece of furniture.
"Scott!"
She shouted.
"Scott, where are you?"
"Mom, I'm right here," I called. She didn't look at me, and when I moved in front of her and touched her shoulder, she looked right through me.
"Scott!"
She shouted again.
"For God's sake, stop playing around!"
Now, my mom isn't one for stupid jokes. I started to get scared, feeling like she might have some kind of episode that had impaired her senses, like maybe a stroke. I reached for her hand, but she walked quickly upstairs. I went out to the backyard, where my dad was relaxing with his morning coffee. "I think something's wrong with Mom," I told him, but he didn't even look at me. He took a long drink of his coffee and sat, staring into the distance. I shook his shoulder, but again, got no response. Instead, he pushed a finger into his nose and sat contentedly rooting around his nostril. Exactly like I wasn't there. Now I was getting seriously freaked out. I went back in to grab the phone and dialed 911. intending to get an ambulance out to our place. But the phone just rang and rang. Nobody answered, even though I hung up and called back almost 10 times. Finally, I went over to the Andersons, our next-door neighbors. We weren't exactly great friends with them, but I felt sure they'd help me. But you can probably guess what happened. Mr. Anderson was sitting at a desk in his den, working on filling out some form. He didn't even look up, though he burped once or twice. It would have been kind of funny if I weren't so weirded out. Mrs. Anderson was stretched out on a chase lounge, watching TV. I screamed in her ear. Nothing. It was the same way in every other house I checked, and I checked about a dozen. Nobody responded to me, but I did hear a voice, or I imagined it. An old lady's voice, an old lady with a strange accent, whispering, "Don't see him, don't hear him, don't feel him." Something told me that Mrs. Bogdan was the one I really needed to see, but I wasn't quite ready to do that. Instead, I went to Kurt's place. I wasn't prepared for what I found. Someone in the house was screaming in an absolute rage. When I opened the door, there was Kurt, and it was his father he was screaming at. His old man was in the kitchen making himself a couple of sandwiches, and I was treated to the sight of Kurt trying to yank one away from him. Each time his fingers slipped off the bread, like he was too weak, or his hands too slippery to get hold of it.
Angela!
He called suddenly. Angela, I knew, was Kurt's mother.
Hey.
Angela! Have you found Kurt yet?
No,
A voice called from upstairs.
he must have gone out or something. Or he's staying with a friend.
3 cargo ships have been reported.
Do you think this is full?
Oh. Love you. Love you.
I can't hardly move.
Mm-mm.